They chose her future over my life. Part 1. I was diagnosed with stage 2 Hodgkin's lymphoma at 19. It was the kind of news that warps time. You remember what room you were in, the look on the doctor's face, even the sound of the clock ticking behind you. For me, I was sitting between my parents in a sterile hospital room, staring down at my hands while they explained chemotherapy and timelines. It was treatable. Hard, painful, and terrifying, but treatable. All I needed was consistent care and a bit of luck. And money. Lots of it. That same week, my younger sister Emily got accepted into her dream school, Ivy League, out of state, expensive. We sat at the dinner table when my parents told me they decided to prioritize her tuition over the full cost of my treatment. My brain tried to make sense of the words, but all I heard was, "Her future matters more than your life." "It's not like we're abandoning you," my mom said, tears in her eyes. "We'll help where we can." My dad added, "You're strong. We believe you can get through this." Believe in what? Miracles? I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just nodded, stood up, and left. It was a clean kind of pain, sharp but quiet like frostbite. I moved in with my best friend Dylan, who'd quietly offered when he saw the shadows under my eyes deepen. He didn't ask questions when I showed up with a duffel bag and medical paperwork. He just cleared out a drawer and told me I wasn't alone. I started a GoFundMe. Worked part-time when I could, got help from a local charity that supported cancer patients. I began chemo 3 weeks later. The side effects were brutal. I lost weight, lost my hair, lost track of days. But I didn't lose everyone. Dylan was always there, with rides, snacks I couldn't eat, jokes I barely laughed at. And then there was Natalie, a volunteer at the oncology clinic. She was bright, funny, and didn't look at me with pity. My parents called once a week, brief check-ins. Emily texted a few times. "Hope you're okay. Midterms are wild LOL." I didn't respond. Part of me hated them. Part of me still wanted them to be proud. The bitterness stayed lodged in my chest like a shard of glass. I didn't know if I could ever forgive them, but I also didn't know if I'd live long enough to try. They chose her future over my life. Part 2. By round 4 of chemo, I could barely lift my arms some days. Dylan insisted I let him help me shower even when I resisted out of pride. I'd never known a love that was quiet like his, patient, steady. But it was Natalie who made me laugh again. She started bringing crossword puzzles on my treatment days. "If you're going to sit here for hours, we might as well make your brain sweat too." We'd do them together, and I'd joke that she only liked me because I was her captive audience. One day she leaned in and whispered, "If you weren't attached to that IV, I'd ask you out right now." I nearly ripped the IV out. It wasn't long after that when we went on our first date, a soft pretzel in the park. I still had my beanie on, and I caught her staring once. "Do I look ridiculous?" I asked. "You look like someone I want to kiss," she said, and then did. My body was breaking down, but for the first time in months, my heart felt full. Meanwhile, my parents stayed distant. My mom sent me a box of supplements and a prayer card. My dad left a voicemail. Emily didn't reach out at all, but something inside me shifted. I stopped waiting for them to show up, because love was showing up. In Dylan's relentless loyalty, in Natalie's eyes when she looked at me like I wasn't sick, in the nurse who remembered my favorite juice, in the stranger who donated anonymously to my fundraiser. Not all families are blood. I finished chemo with less than $200 in my bank account and a heart full of complicated feelings. But I was alive, and I wasn't alone. They chose her future over my life. Part 3. Remission. That word tasted sweeter than any I'd ever known. I rang the bell at the clinic with tears in my eyes, Natalie on one side and Dylan on the other. I felt like I'd run a marathon barefoot through broken glass, but I'd made it. A week later, I got a letter, handwritten, from Emily. She said she found my GoFundMe, said no one ever told her how bad it had gotten, that she'd been so wrapped up in school she didn't realize the cost of her dream. She said she was sorry, that she loved me, that she wished she'd done more. I read it twice, then cried for the first time in months. I didn't know if I could forgive my parents, not completely. But I did invite Emily to visit. She came that weekend. We sat on the porch with lemonade, and I told her everything about Dylan, about Natalie, about how scared I was, and how angry. She cried. So did I. We hugged like kids again. Natalie moved in a month later. Dylan got a new job, and we threw him a ridiculous party with too much confetti. Life started to look less like survival and more like living. And my parents. It's complicated, but they're trying. Therapy letters, slow apologies. I don't trust easily anymore, but I'm learning. I still have scars on my body, in my heart. But I also have love. Real, grounded, steady love. I lost everything once. But what I found after was better than anything I imagined. Sometimes healing doesn't look like going back. Sometimes it looks like building something entirely new. And I'm finally ready to build.